Welcome back to another episode of Pioneers and Builders in the city of Jacksonville, Florida, or I like to call it PB Jax. I'm your host as always. My name's Randall Thomas, and I'm here with an excellent guest, about to hit 20 years in business, and thought it'd be a good time to bring her in and talk about how we got here and what the future holds. And so Miss Meridith Anzulis of Fenetex.
Fenetex.
I was hoping that you would correct me. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you so much. All right. Fenetex.
Fenetex.
The name
How did we come up with that name?
The name has to come from somewhere.
So the name did actually come from somewhere.
Before we get into like what you guys are and what you guys do, where did the name come from?
The name, well, we'll talk about the origin of the name. It's critical to the products that we make. So when we started off making our products, we were operating under the name Stormwatch, since we were making hurricane protection products. And the theory behind that was that we wanted our products to be thought of when the Stormwatch gets issued. And then we started branching into other products that weren't just storm related. So we needed a new name that could cover all those other things. So we came up with Fenetex, which is a combination of two terms: fenestration, which is an architectural term for the openings on a building, and textiles, because everything that we do is made from textiles. So you take the fena and the tex, you put them together, you get a made-up word, which is perfect because then you can own all of the intellectual property for it.
Yeah, so it's trademarked. Mm-hmm. Everything's yours. That's wonderful. Okay, now into the product itself.
Yes.
Maybe we can even talk, let's rewind 20 years, because I don't know if the product is the same in 2026 as it was in 2006.
It is not.
So what was the origin of the product, and then what do you guys in totality do today?
Okay. So we started off, the products came from my husband watching hurricane footage in South Florida in the early 2000s. He would watch the news footage of buildings just being with the roofs lifting off. So his thought was, well, if you could keep the roof on the building, you could save the building. So he started working through his sort of engineering style brain and his years and lifetime of experience on sailboats and figuring, well, if you can just transfer that load into the foundation of the building, just with some system that would absorb that and transfer it, then you could save the building by keeping the roof on it.
Yeah.
So that's actually the first product that we tested in the marketplace. And that failed miserably. And I can tell you that honestly, because
why? That seems to make sense to me.
Nobody wants to go up on their roof and deploy a system of nets or cables to get ready for a storm. So just, that was not the right market. That was not the right product for the market. But once you solve the engineering challenge for the amount of uplift on a roof, taking that whole load and covering smaller openings like windows and doors, well, that was easy. Now we all had an over-engineered product for a smaller opening. So then we started making fabric-based products that would protect windows and doors.
Mm-hmm. When did that pivot happen?
Oh, we did, I think, one hurricane preparedness show.
Mm-hmm.
And after talking to enough people, thought, this is never going to fly. So it didn't take long.
Okay.
And then we pivoted pretty quickly. So once we started doing these smaller protection products for windows and doors, our customers said, well, can I put this on my patio? And so then we had to advance it a little bit more to do larger openings. And people loved the idea of having their patio protected, because if you had a hurricane barrier at the perimeter, you don't have to move your furniture inside. All of those windows and doors inside the patio are protected. So it's a great scenario for people.
Yeah.
And then once we had that, then they said, well, how can I make it look better when it's not deployed? So then we came up with a system where we'd have a little wrap of Sunbrella fabric. So custom printed, not custom printed, I'm sorry, just, Sunbrella comes in hundreds of different colors and patterns. And we would put a little strip of Sunbrella fabric at the top of the panel so that when you rolled it up, that's what showed. So most people would color match to their home so that it would just blend in. Occasionally, we had some folks who wanted to do something a little more creative and festive, like stripes.
Yeah.
And then once we had that, the next question we got was, well, can I put a motor on it? So we figured out how to do that. And that's where we settled.
Okay. So it didn't take long to pivot. I have a funny story about a guy who's been on the show and is a good friend of mine named Bob Dahlstrom. He owns a company called Appellix.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's a drone company, but when he started it, he did it to do spray painting at height. So use the drone to spray paint.
Mm-hmm.
And it took him forever and nobody wanted anything to do with it. But so he changed it to pressure washing and it took off like wildfire. And I guess pun intended on that. So he's now majorly successful, but it was because he took the product to market and then he made the pivot.
Yeah.
It seems like you did the same thing.
You have to be adaptable.
Yeah. The podcast, it's important I say this because you said that, it brings this to mind. When I didn't want to launch the first episode of PB and Jax because it was really bad. And I mean that sincerely. It was really bad. I did it like Zoom style and I had like a basic webcam and the audio was really horrible. And I didn't really understand my interviewing skills. Didn't even have any. And I didn't post it, but somebody came up to me and they were like, Randall, you cannot make it beautiful until you make it exist.
Yeah.
And so I've always been one to say, if anybody asks me for advice, like get it out there and then figure it out. Don't wait. It just doesn't make sense to. So the fact that you guys launched in one direction, we're coming up on 20 years of business. So clearly the pivot you made was successful. Just tells me everything I need to know about getting started first and then figuring out later. It's really cool.
Yeah, I think it was Stephen King in his book on writing said something like the hardest part of writing is getting the words down, on paper, on a computer, whatever. You can always edit them and make them good later, but you have to get them out.
100%.
So
yeah. Before you got into motorized window screens, you were doing something way different.
Me personally.
Yes.
Yeah.
What were you doing?
The job that I had most recently before we started the company was selling memberships to a technology conference program. And prior to that, I worked in professional sports and baseball, minor league baseball and major league baseball.
And what did you do in the baseball world?
Well, I've always been in marketing and promotions. So the most fun part was working for a minor league team in Charleston, the Charleston RiverDogs, and being part of a baseball promotion legacy. That team is owned by Mike Veeck, who is the son of Bill Veeck, who owned the Chicago White Sox. Long story there, but huge innovator in how baseball is marketed and sold and made entertaining for fans beyond just the game. So when I was there, I was part of the marketing and promotions team. Not only did I sell tickets and ad space, I also ran on-field promotions. I worked in the concession stand. I did the PA announcing on occasion if somebody didn't show up, pulled tarp, poured beers.
Yeah.
All of it.
Everything.
Yeah.
Okay. So do it all.
Absolutely.
And what major league teams did you work for?
I worked for the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Okay. I just like my least favorite team. Them and the Phillies. But so, and then was it the same thing with the Dodgers? Like something different?
No, it wasn't quite as free-spirited. The Dodgers are much more, and I worked there during the O'Malley years, so it was a very old school operation. Very slow-moving and respectful. I shouldn't say slow-moving. Their marketing was much more traditional. The team itself was very innovative in the players that they brought in. They were the first, they brought in the first Black player, way back in the Dodgers' history. They developed a whole farm system in the Caribbean. They brought in the first Japanese player, the first Korean player. So they were very well known for crossing lines and doing things in an innovative way.
First off, I find that fascinating. So this question will be sequential. How did you go from sports to technology memberships to motorized screens? Like how did, and then I guess the second part of that question, I can ask this now, is what about those two roles set you up to be the CEO of a company?
Yeah. Okay. So sports is a little bit like working in the entertainment industry. You don't get paid a lot of money, and there's always 1,000 people vying for your job. So if you push back on anything, there's really not a lot of incentive to work too hard to meet your demands. There's always someone else who will do it. So I was good at my job, but it does not really matter because for the people working in the team, there's not a ton of money there. It was a great amount of fun, huge amount of fun, amazing people that I worked with, super outgoing and willing to pitch in and do anything, which kind of leads to that. How does it set you up to run a company? Because once you get that mentality going where you're going to be the person who can do anything that's asked of you, that's what it's like to start a company.
Yeah.
So you got to be ready to do anything because you don't even know what the job is until you start doing it and you see what needs to be done.
Yeah. And the early days, were you founded in 06 or 07?
Our first products were in the market in 07.
Okay. In 07, and obviously correct me if I'm wrong, it was just the two of you to start, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So the do-it-all part when you were working in, was it Charleston, you said?
Well, that was for the minor league baseball
Yeah,
team.
the minor, but you were doing everything,
Yeah.
right? So did that kind of help set you up that in 07, when it was just the two of you, there was no job that was too big or too small? You just had to, you had to be multifaceted?
Yeah, and we actually spent our first Christmas in Florida when we moved out there with a Walmart sewing machine, sewing screens to send them to the test lab. So hurricane products in Florida have to go through a rigorous testing process, and then they get certified through the building commission for the state. So we didn't have anyone else to make them for us, so we cleared all the furniture out of our living room and our kitchen and put a sewing machine up, and that's how we spent Christmas.
I mean, it's a fun story, if you ask
Not
me.
really.
I mean, it is.
It wasn't at the time.
Well,
It gets fun though because my sister-in-law knew that we were doing this, and so she sent us some lobsters for Christmas. That was our Christmas present.
Too.
So we stopped working, cooked lobsters, and had that for dinner.
That's great too. Whenever you make it though, those are the stories you get to look back on and be like, okay, it was worth it.
Yeah.
And so to me, that's what makes it fun. I never thought to even ask this, but now that you're talking about Charleston and LA and seeing the hurricane stuff on TV, how did this happen?
Well, we were living in Southern California when my husband came up with the idea, and we knew we had to move to Florida to have credibility for any kind of hurricane related product. No one's going to buy a hurricane screen made in Los Angeles. That's just not going to happen. So we started off in northern Palm Beach County, and we lived for a little while in Riviera Beach. We lived for a little while in Jupiter. Beautiful place, but it always felt sort of semi-permanent. There's a lot of snowbirds there. We never really found our community. We always felt transient. And so when one of our dealers that was here in Jacksonville was doing the Jacksonville Home and Patio show, he said, well, would one of you guys like to come up and help us learn how to sell this product of yours that we're carrying? So Michael, my husband, came up. He worked the show with them. And as he was driving around town exploring, he called me from the car and said, you should really come up here and look at this place. It's got mature trees. It's got roads that curve. It's got real neighborhoods. It's got people who live here year round. It's like a real place. So I did, and we decided that it was a much better place for us to live, and we relocated our company up here.
Very cool. What year was that?
I think that was around 2010.
Okay. So the bulk of the time that the company's been in existence, it's been a Jacksonville-based company. That's wonderful to me. Thank you. The timeline makes sense here too. So product first launched in 07. Something kind of monumental happened in 2008, 2009. It was the Great Recession. And starting a company in that time frame is daunting. And I'm sure that it was tough to find funding and footing and getting people to take meetings and stuff like that when they're probably worried about their own money and their own investments and their own companies and everything else. So getting started in 07 and then watching the bottom fall out of the economy, what was it like to try to build a company in that time frame and being in the early stages where you have to literally do everything? How stressful was it on you and your husband to have to pick up the slack?
It was a little stressful, but again, it was a pivot moment for us because the product we started out with, this very manual product, we had set it up to keep the costs as low as we could. And then when that recession hit and everyone was battling to get the lowest cost product in the market to win that business, we realized we were chasing prices to the bottom, and we went the opposite direction. So we came up, that's about when the motorized screen started coming into play, and we went higher end. So we didn't want to compete for the most price sensitive customers. We wanted to compete for the people who were expecting a higher quality and willing to pay for it. And that has been a critical lesson for our business. Every couple of years, we come back around to the same conversation. Do we want to come up with a lower cost product? Do we want to compete with those products in the market that are really for more price sensitive customers? And every time we look at it, we're like, we can't deliver the quality that we want with any version of it that we see right now. It's not to say that'll never happen. We may find a solution in the future, but every time we look at it, we would have to compromise on our quality to deliver at that price point, and that is just not something that we're willing to do.
Yeah, it seems like there's some advice there for the upcoming entrepreneurs now, which is to not sacrifice your worth based on market conditions. Is that a fair thing to say?
Well, I mean, there are appropriate places for low price products, but they have to be built sort of for that purpose. And you have to go in knowing that you're going to compete on price, and volume is going to be your friend. But for us in custom manufacturing, we're working on increasing our volume, but we're doing that with efficiency and optimization and automation, and we can't do that through just shoving more stuff out the door.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have to find your niche in the market, find the thing that makes your business or service or product unique, and then price for value, not just for cost.
Sound advice. Thank you. The roles in the company are unique. You guys have very clear defined roles, especially early on. He's like the big idea guy and the process guy and the engineer, and you were the operations like head of the company, taking care of all the back office stuff.
Yeah.
How did you guys come to those roles?
We just sort of fell into them naturally. He's always been a problem solver, an innovator, someone who looks at things that are poorly designed and immediately thinks of better ways to do it, even if it's not our product.
Yeah.
Walk into a hotel room and there's a shower head that's annoying, and he'll figure out different ways to make it better. It's just who he is. So he's always looking that way and thinking about things that way. And for me, I've always been a detailed person. I like lists, I like organization, I like steps, I like completion. So for him, innovation is never over. You're always doing it. And for me, I want things to be done so I can move on to the next step of the process. So it was a very natural balancing and pairing of skills.
You and I are alike. I'm more like you. I need
Yeah.
to like complete something, move on, have it in front of me. I'm more of the detailed person, and so I understand that. Now that the roles have been defined, you guys have gotten the company off the ground. Obviously, you've gone through your pivots and your iterations. Let's talk about the product itself. So the screen is made up of what kind of material?
Well, it depends on what kind of screen you're getting. We have 4 main types of screens that we offer. We have an insect screen, and we offer a couple of different densities of screen mesh depending on what your pest is. So there's one that's a little more open that's for mosquito stopping, and then there's one that's a tighter weave, and that one will stop the no-see-ums. We have shade screen fabrics that are in different densities depending on how much of the sun you want to block. And then we have a clear vinyl. That's a solid fabric. So you have different colors you can choose to put around the borders if you want it to kind of blend in and disappear or stand out and be an accent. Like sometimes restaurants will put, their logo color in the border to make it a branded part of their appearance. And then of course hurricane screens, and screens are a little more specialized. We use a fabric product called Omegatex, which has an aramid fiber woven into it, and that's the same the same Kevlar fabric that goes into a bulletproof vest. It's used in a different way, and it's packed together in a different way, but it's the same fabric.
And it's isn't it the hurricane one? It's rated for winds up to 185 miles an hour. Is that correct?
Well, it's rated for the 185 mile an hour wind zone. So when we do hurricane products, they're tested according to design pressure. So that means how many pounds of pressure per square foot can a product withstand. And then based on that data, you're approved for different wind zones. But wind speeds are a little bit subjective, because just if the wind is blowing 185 miles an hour on the ground, if you're on the corner of a building, it could be different with vortex effects and so forth. Or if you're up on the high levels of a building, you're going to feel it faster up there. So we rate for wind zones and debris regions rather than just wind speeds.
I know that you do residential, and obviously we've talked about restaurants and other things. Is there a commercial component to this? Do you guys make screens for larger buildings or larger campuses or larger organizations in general?
Well, our commercial component is really the restaurants, hotels, hospitality, any kind of business that has an outdoor space, they're looking to make more usable and user-friendly in different climates. So we do screens for a lot of different kinds of restaurants and a lot of different country clubs that want to secure their patios or whatever, their clubhouses. So that's our commercial component. And we've always offered all of our products to our residential and our commercial customers. But with our new product that we just launched, which is a self-adjusting hurricane track, that's going to solve a lot more problems for restaurants, which are they're just more demanding environments. They're used every single day.
Yep.
They're often larger openings. There are often more screens along an opening. And so being able to take our shade screens or our clear screens and put them in this adjusting hurricane track, it's going to make the aesthetics of it nice and smooth, very appealing, but it's also going to give them the strength that they need for those demanding environments.
Talk about the new product.
Mm-hmm.
Why would a restaurant go the new route versus the old route?
Well, it started from the same basic design, what we call our one track, because it's the one track that fits all situations. A little Lord of the Rings throwback, the one track to rule them all, right? And we used that track design for our insect screens, our shade screens, our clear screens.
Mm-hmm.
And it has a self-adjusting spring-loaded track, for lack of a better word. So there are springs inside the track components that push the track out, and that keeps the screen smooth. Clear screens are a little bit, susceptible to weather changes. They shrink when it's cold. They stretch out a little bit when it gets warm, when the sun hits them. So the springs keep that taut and smooth. And our hurricane screen has been different. It's always been a fixed track for strength, for rigidity. And we just brought out the new, more robust version of that adjustable track, which is called the MaxForce. And that one takes the same principle of the spring adjusted track, but scales it up for strength. And it's got interlocking components so it can't come out. And it's going to take all of those proven design elements for all the years we've had one track in the market. And it's just basically an enhanced version of that to weather the load.
Yeah.
And so when you're in a restaurant, you've got a rooftop bar, it's up high, it's got higher winds. So having that more robust track to withstand all of those loads is going to serve them better.
Okay. In Jacksonville, I know you guys are national now, but local podcast. So in Jacksonville, where would people see your screens? Where have they been installed?
Yeah, I mentioned this to you earlier, just driving down here, just coming from Jacksonville down to Ponte Vedra, I was like, oh, look, there's Aqua Grill. They have our screens. And right over there is, St. Augustine, and we've got San Sebastian and Asado Life. So you could design this whole system of going out, and you could have tapas and a glass of wine at San Sebastian on their rooftop, be protected by our screens. Go have an amazing dinner at Asado Life. Their food is so good. I don't know if you've been there. It's
I have
amazing.
Been there. Yep.
They've got our clear screens on their patio. Head over for dancing at Aqua Grill. They've got our screens on their patio too. So we're around. And that's actually, it's sort of a fun thing about the business that we do, because we work through dealers. We don't often get to see our screens in their final installation, because many of them are in people's homes, and we're not showing up to see, hey, how's it going? But when they're in restaurants and we're out traveling around, we walk in places and go, hey, there's our screens, or we'll make a point to visit a restaurant that has our screens.
And it's got to feel pretty cool.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in Boston later this week, so I've already mapped out my trek of where I'm going to visit to.
Which also is cool, that you're going to a different city altogether. So keep in mind, you started out here, right? This is a local thing.
Yeah.
Then it was a regional thing, and now it's a national thing. And you can go to a city, Boston, and be like, where are my screens installed? And, to me, that's fantastic. I am curious about early stage sales versus current stage sales. So you guys came to Florida so that you could be reputable. You engineered a fantastic product. You went to trade shows. You did all you could to sell this thing off the ground. So in the early days, how much was it, like the pitch as you're trying to sell it, how much of that was engineering focused or engineering based versus trust based?
Well, for us, they're the same thing, because the trust that we've earned from our dealers, our users, comes from solid engineering. And it's always been the way that we've done it. And just this year, we're launching a new concept that we're calling Fenetex Blue, which is basically our true blue promise to you, where we're encapsulating that philosophy that's been there all along, that people have come to trust us for our engineering. They know they're going to get, it's just been really important for us to stay tied to that quality message. You know, we don't want flashy gadgets. We don't want to chase profits for the sake of just chasing profits. You have to have something sustainable that can really last. And so like backward compatibility and forward compatibility is really important to us. And that's a thing that we factor in. And people, meaning our dealers who have stayed with us for years and have sold our products over and over again, have seen improvements and advancements in them along the way, love the fact that whatever we design today, we're factoring in everything we've always done, so that if they have to go back and service something later, it's still going to work.
Yeah.
It's a big deal for us.
Yeah, that is a big deal. Is when somebody buys a screen from you guys, like what all comes with that? Is there a warranty that comes with that? Is that a parts and labor warranty? Is there a I don't know. I'll leave it open ended. What all comes with the screen purchase?
It's a lifetime warranty.
Really?
Really.
Lifetime.
Yep.
Okay. That means you guys really believe in what you're doing.
Yep.
That's incredible. 20 years, almost 20 years.
Almost.
How much of the sales, trust me, I'm aware that in the beginning stages, it was probably outbound, a lot of outbound, but how much of that's inbound now? I mean, now that your name has a quality component to it, how many people are calling you guys to get the installs done versus you guys doing the outbound marketing?
Ooh, I'm not sure I could answer that question with a great deal of specifics, but if I had to go based on a gut number,
Or percentage?
I'd say a percentage is probably around 30 to 40% inbound. And I think the reason for that is we've always trusted on our product quality so much that we haven't put a lot of effort into getting our name out there for name recognition. And now that we've got a really stable product line, we're going to start looking a little harder at marketing our name to get it out there, so that when someone's thinking about a motorized screen, they think specifically about us. So that's a marketing push we're going to be making this year.
So like when somebody buys a hot tub, the name jacuzzi,
right,
it's synonymous, right? So when someone say, "Oh, I got a jacuzzi," but it's not a jacuzzi; it's just a hot tub.
Right.
When it comes to motorized screens, it's like we want that to be synonymous, right?
We would love that. Yeah.
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 Why
That's the
not?
goal.
Okay. I think it's doable. Why not? You guys are clearly the authority in this space. You're well trusted.
There are other manufacturers that are doing a better job getting their name out than us right now. I will say that.
Okay.
We need to work on this area for sure.
Okay. I know that this is an awkward transition, if you will, but I believe that this makes a lot of sense. There's a John Wooden quote you love. What is it?
If you don't have time to do it right, when will you have time to do it again?
Yep. And so getting your name out, I think this would be a good time to go do it and do it the right way, right?
Yeah. And again, it all comes back to us for the promise of the product quality. It has to be right, so that when we tell you what it's going to do, it actually does what we say.
Of course.
It's really important to us.
So the foundation is secure. That's the part that matters. So now you can go build the house properly.
Yeah. Now we just need to tell people what we're doing, really, is all it is.
So in that quote, over the past 19 years, do you love that quote because there was a lesson to be learned, or has that just been a guiding principle for you?
Oh, yeah, it's definitely a lesson. Definitely a lesson because, making products, custom manufacturing, whether we have a team of people who work in production, they get pressure to get things done and out the door as quickly as they can because dealers are waiting. It's a lot of upstream pressure from our dealers because their customers want their screens for their party they're having, in 2 weeks. The dealer needs it so they can get it installed in time. We need to get it made so we can get it out the doors. We can get it shipped to them on time, which means we need to get it made. And so if we try to do that too fast, you can skip steps. You can make mistakes. Yep. Humans are human. We make errors. And so we try to just slow everything down enough, double check it all, follow our QA principles, double check it, everything, so that when it goes out the door, it's right. Because if we make a mistake, it affects everybody else along that line I just described. So the dealer can't install it. The homeowner doesn't get it. So we have to do our part right.
Yeah. It took a long time to get to the point where you're talking about those particular items, which are the dealers and everything else. Early on in the company's like history, what was like the hardest part of starting a company? I mean, when you really reflect on it, what was like the hardest, most difficult part that you really had to dig your heels in on and persevere on?
In the early
Early
days,
days.
I was figuring out how to live without an income.
Hmm. That's a real thing.
It's a real thing. Yeah. Um,
So how did you?
well, we had a little teeny bit of seed money from family members. And my husband had worked as a yacht broker before we started the company, so he had a good savings. I did not. So there were times when I was literally working retail sales at Crate and Barrel over Christmas to make a few extra bucks, you know. And there was a time I was considering doing that again, and Michael talked me out of it. He said, your time is so much more valuable spent on this company than doing that. So let's just figure out how to make it work. So I don't have any great advice on how to make it work. We just
Mm.
did. But that's what you have to be prepared to do if you're launching a company full time, is to know that until it takes off,
Yeah.
there's no income.
Do you ever reflect on that? Like, I would just, for conversation's sake, I'm going to call this the good days. We've made it. That's so, you might be going through the rigmarole of running a company, and I'm sure that that's not easy. But we're going to call today the good days. You've made it. You have employees. You're doing well. But do you ever reflect on 2007, 2008, 2009, and working at Crate and Barrel, and how you spent your time, and the fact that you weren't drawing a paycheck, and think about how far you've come?
Yeah, sometimes. And it's
Mm.
it's it's funny to think back on it now.
Mhm.
Wasn't funny at the time. When we made our very first job to be installed, we didn't have enough space in our condo that we were renting to actually lay it out. So I actually took it out to the driveway of the condo next to us that had a 2-car wide driveway, and nobody was living there at the time. So I was working in the driveway in the sun. I had to have a bandana on to catch the sweat so that it wasn't like
Mhm.
pouring out over the screen that I was trying to finish. And by the time we delivered it, and actually I'm the one who drove it up to the homeowner, who was a very gracious human being. He knew this was our first product. He knew this was brand new to all of us, and delivered it to him. He was very kind and helped me unload. And then after he did the install, he sent us pictures and said, "Hey, use this in your marketing."
Yep.
So I think people appreciate the hard work and effort that you put into a thing.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree.
and it was very courageous of him to trust us with that first job.
I mean, that part is wonderful. Is that the moment for you? Was that the we may have made it moment? Everybody has we turned the corner. It could be that they hired their first employee, or closed their first sale, or did their first install. But for you, I'm sure that was a great moment, but was that the I made it moment, or was that later on?
I actually, I think that I didn't really feel like we made it until we made the Inc. list last year, the Inc. 5000 list, because even with all of these years of successful product sales and continuously growing income, it just feels like at any moment it could stop.
Yeah.
And so even with momentum, it just felt like at any moment the spigot could turn off.
Yeah.
So to me, that was the moment that made me feel like, okay, now we're getting somewhere.
So you made the Inc. 5000 list last year. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I mean, how cool would it be to do it 2 years in a row?
Oh, pretty cool. I can tell you.
Yeah. Because when this gets launched, it will have been reported that you made it for the second year in a row.
Yep. We
Congrats.
got back to back. We don't know our place on the list yet, but we know that we've made the list, and I suspect that I'm hoping that we're a little higher ranked.
What were you ranked last year?
Last year, overall, we were number 3,232, so 3232.
Okay.
But the interesting part is that we were number 89 in manufacturing. So that kind of tells you how much the manufacturing sector is struggling, that we're we're in the 3000s overall, but 89 in manufacturing. So that's a hard industry. It's a hard sector to work in. But I'm hoping that we'll be a little higher this year.
Well, I'm rooting for you.
Thank you.
Of course. It wasn't the only award in the last 12 months that has kind of come to you. You were a woman of influence by the Jacksonville Business Journal this year.
Yeah, that was kind of special, mostly because that they name honorees to that list based on how they're looking out for women in Jacksonville and what they're doing to give back to other women, especially in the business community. So that one felt pretty special.
Yeah. For me, the reason it stood out to me is manufacturing such a male-dominated field. Like, I mean, heavily.
Mm-hmm.
And so to win that as a CEO of a manufacturing company, how did that feel? I mean, I'm sure your mind went there. So did it feel a little extra special that you're leading a company that's on the Inc. 5000 list twice, but also you're being recognized as one of the 20 pioneering women in the city of Jacksonville?
Totally 20.
That's what the woman of influence
I
is.
know.
Yeah.
When you think about those numbers, it already felt special. And then when you think about how limited it is,
Mhm.
it's extra special, I guess.
Mm.
Yeah, it feels good. I've always worked in male-dominated fields, sports, technology, manufacturing. It's just, I've never been daunted by that, I think.
Mhm.
Other people perhaps may have been surprised to see me there. In fact, there's a funny story. One time, one of our dealers was in the warehouse and I was standing next to one of my employees. He's tall, young, and I don't remember what the three of us were talking about, but he looked at my colleague and said, "Well, you should run that by your boss." And he just looked right down at me and said, "What do you think, boss?" And the guy that we were talking to was just like,
He shrunk, didn't he?
Wait, you're the boss?"
Yeah. Yeah.
That's me.
You were Women of Influence this year, 2026.
Correct.
Yeah. The ceremony was on my birthday.
Oh.
Yeah. So a good friend of mine, Annie DiStefano, was also a woman of influence. So she was there with you.
I wasn't actually able to attend the ceremony. I sent somebody in my place. Yeah, I was out of town for that one, unfortunately.
Well, Annie was there, and then whoever was there for you, they shared the room together. And then one thing you and I share is I was nominated by the Jacksonville Business Journal for an award this year too. So by the
I saw that on your LinkedIn. Congratulations to you.
Thank you. By the skin of my teeth.
Wasn't that how we all do it?
Yeah. By the skin of my teeth, they got me at 39 and change, and super grateful. And I hate that you couldn't be in the room for yours, because being in the room for mine made it feel that much more special. Yeah. But that removes a question I was going to ask, because everybody that went for WOI, they gave like a small speech. I was going to ask what yours was, but you didn't go.
So, yeah, but I did write remarks, and my colleague gave them for me.
Okay, good. What were they?
I don't remember. Mm-hmm. I don't remember specifically. I think it was just to the effect of, if I have any advice to give, it's in my experience, especially in male-dominated fields, women want to help other women. And I think this reputation that women have of being catty and competitive has not been my experience. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but it's not been my experience. And I find women want other women to succeed, and we will help each other in any way that we can. So even if you find a champion who's not in your industry, not in your business, there's going to be somebody out there that's going to want to support you in your success.
Yeah.
So keep looking for that person if you haven't found them yet.
Oh, that's wonderful. The one thing about your Inc. 5000 award, and partially goes to your WI award, is that you really wanted to make sure that so many people were given the gratitude, especially in the dealer network, instead of just the people that work for the company. And I know you've told me personally why you felt that way, but I want everybody else to know, why did you feel it's so important to include everybody that's ever been a part of what you're doing?
Well, like you said, it takes a village, and we're manufacturers. So it starts with our suppliers, who help us keep materials coming into the building so we can make products. Our dealers, who represent us so brilliantly in the field and are our face to their customers, the face of our products to our shared customers. If they didn't do what they did, there wouldn't be a Fenetex. And of course, our own team, shows up to work every day in the heat, just works so hard, so reliable. I have so much gratitude for everybody who helps keep us going and keeps us growing. We could never have done it without everybody. And
you're still growing.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can edit this out if we have to, or we can talk about it. But when you and I met on Zoom, I'm pretty sure you told me you're looking for a substantially bigger building.
we are looking for a bigger building. We have a product line that we're teeing up to launch that's going to need a lot more space. So we're looking for the space that we're going to need to do that. And we don't have a timeline for that yet because a lot of it is we don't compete on cost, but this will be an expensive product and there's a lot of aluminum in it, and right now the price of aluminum is very volatile. So we're just kind of sitting on it and we're waiting for a little more stability. And then, of course, we have to find the building so we can figure out where we're going to make it.
To confirm, when you pick the building, it's going to be in Jacksonville.
Yes, that's where we're looking.
Okay. Yeah. That's just, PB and Jax. I got to make sure.
And I'll be honest, we've looked at other markets. We haven't found anything. And the idea of picking up our whole team and either moving them or replacing them with people somewhere else is just heartbreaking. I don't see it happening. So, yeah, it'll be Jacksonville.
I just love to know that your guys are, although your timeline's not necessarily there, your idea on expansion is still ever present.
Yeah.
Okay. That's great. Speaking of growing, you went from local to regional to national. Mm-hmm. You've grown over the last 19 years, about to be 20. As you've grown, as you've scaled, what was broken or what needed to break? What habit needed to be transformed in order for you guys to kind of rebuild it, to scale it? Like, where was the step back moment, the step forward moment?
Oh, we're still having those. Me personally, I jokingly call myself the human bottleneck. I know that I'm the problem in that scenario for a lot of different cases in our business. I think we've had quite a few moments that have caused us to go, you know what, we can't do all of this. We need to hire people and trust them to do the job.
Yep.
And part of it was coming out of COVID. COVID was a really, really challenging time because our suppliers couldn't get materials to sell to us. So we were struggling to get enough metal to make materials. Everyone that we could send home to work remotely, we did. We were still able to be open because we make hurricane protection products, which is a critical product. Mm-hmm. So we were never shut down. Our people in our warehouse felt okay because it's a large open space, lots of air. But also during that time, logistics broke. Trucks weren't running. We had one of our carriers that we had partnered with almost exclusively tell us they wouldn't carry our product anymore because it was too awkward to fit on their trucks. And this was a carrier that would drop off a pup trailer for us every week. We'd fill up, they'd come pick it up and bring us a new one. And one week they just didn't show up with a new empty trailer. They didn't call us and tell us, they just didn't show up. So we had to find out what was going on. And when that broke, that's when we decided we needed to offer our own delivery service. We needed to have control. So it's another bit of business advice. If you're going to sell a product or service based on quality and standards, you have to have control. Because if you're not in control, people could let you down. And that reflects on your brand. So you just can't let that happen. Yep. So that was one of those moments that was a growth moment for us. Not so much about stepping back, but it was a moment of this broke and here's how we're going to fix it by growing past it and doing more, doing better.
Was that the moment, timeline wise, where you guys vertically integrated the supply chain? Was that around the same time where you had a little bit more predictability in your pricing and your delivery fees and stuff like that? Wasn't there a kind of a moment where you made a pivot?
Yeah.
Okay.
We've always been somewhat vertically integrated in that we make a lot of custom parts, things that aren't available off the shelf. So we have to, we can buy fabrics from fabric mills, but all the little parts and pieces that go into our screens, the metal parts, they all have to be custom extruded. The end caps that go on the hood have to be custom cast. The little injection molded parts, little plastic things that come together, those all have to be custom injection molded. So we've been vertically integrated, we were integrated that far, and then we took over delivery, and then we expanded our vertical integration to include that end delivery. And we've since expanded more. We went from having a 26-foot box truck. Now we've got a semi with 2 trailers out on the road delivering nationally. So you find something that works, that improves your business's reliability and your customer experience, you double down, so it's working and we keep doing it and we're going to do more. We're looking to buy another truck and, get that out on the road so that we've got multiple trucks running.
You're full of good advice. The Jacksonville part just keeps coming back to me, which is you're here, you love it here, you wouldn't move here, you're going to expand here. Why? Why Jacksonville? What is Jacksonville doing so well that outside of it being a real city with real trees and real neighborhoods, like that's a personal part. But for you guys, you've been able to put a warehouse in and employ people here and create exceptional products here and install them here and distribute them from here. So like why Jacksonville? What are we doing so well that you feel so compelled to plant your flag in this town?
Well, that's actually a really good segue from the logistics conversation because that is a major benefit of Jacksonville. You've got two major interstates that converge right here in Jacksonville. So when we put our trucks on the road, they've got direct shots to most of the country. So that's a really big part of it. Availability of space. When we were looking, we were always able, and we started out very small and we kept adding on and accreting space until we bought our current building. So, if you're able to find the space that you need to operate, why would you look elsewhere? Stay where you are, keep your team. And then as far as recruiting people, it's a city that has enough draw for the people who live here, who want to live here, that we've always been able to get the talent that we need without having to recruit outside of Jacksonville. So it's not so much about like city government doing what's right. It's really about sort of the culture and people of Jacksonville that make it a good environment for a business to start, grow, expand. So it offers all of those things that we needed.
Has the city been in touch in any way, shape, or form? I get conflicting answers on this. Some people say yes, people say no, but have they offered anything?
No. And I mean, if I were to give any advice to the city, I would say when we were looking to move our business from Palm Beach County to Jacksonville, I reached out to the city and I said, what can you do to help me out here? Do you have a database of buildings that you're looking to sell, city-owned buildings that need to be rehabbed, or even privately owned things that you've marked as derelict? Because at that time, we were open to the idea of taking on a building and rehabbing it, a historic building. They told me to call a realtor. So there was an opportunity there that I believe the city missed. And then when I called asking about, tax programs or guidance on how to set up a company in the city, there really wasn't a lot there either. So I think my advice to the city of Jacksonville to recruit and retain businesses here would be to just put a little effort into that. It wouldn't take a lot. But, they were very interested, I think, in developing their downtown area. But if that wasn't where you were looking to be, it just felt like there weren't a lot of resources available.
Yeah. What about, I guess the same question would go towards the chamber as well. Did you have any, did you guys become members of the chamber? Did you have any interactions with the chamber? Did the chamber reach out to try to help you guys out either?
The chamber never reached out. I had a couple of different, colleagues or friends who were members that invited me to meetings. But I never did join the chamber. I was part of the women business owners for a while. I did a scale-up program for the through the Small Business Development Center, which I guess was put on by the SBA, and I don't think they're doing that program anymore. But
they actually still are.
Oh, they are. That's great because that was a really good program.
Yeah, Debbie Magyar is leading the program.
Oh, wonderful!
And if you have any interest in being a part of that, I'd be so happy to put you back in touch with her.
Oh, it's a funny thought.
Wonderful. The fact that you did it, I don't want to say in spite of the city. That's the wrong way to look at it. You did it. You were able to do it without any outside help. So, I mean, that says a lot. But it hurts my soul that my own city didn't step up to the plate to make sure that you guys were taken care of. And I've met multiple business owners, CEOs, et cetera, that have said the exact same thing you've said. And we're talking 8 or 9 figures in annual revenue. You're talking about, these are real economic drivers for the town. You would think that the city would want to be a little bit more involved. So I'm glad you made it, but obviously I wish the city would have put its hand out and gave you something to grab onto in the early stages.
It would have been nice.
Yeah.
But,
it's okay.
You're If you're starting a business, you're going to be resourceful. You're
Mhm.
going to be persistent. So,
Yeah.
people can help you or they cannot. You're still going to figure it out. I will say when we made the Inc. 5000 list, UNF sent us a nice present. So that was cute.
Oh, that's great.
They reached out and sent us, a little goodie package and offered their students as possible interns or
Okay, that's pretty
future
cool.
employees. But that was cool. I
That's
thought that
pretty
was really
cool.
nice. Yeah.
All right. I kind of want to see how many of these Inc. 5000s are Jacksonville-based companies. I'll look at last year's list.
Yeah, I don't think there were too many in Jacksonville. I I want to say there were like 19 in Florida. The list was, it may have been higher than that. I could be quoting that wrong. The list was largely dominated by tech companies.
Which would put them in San Francisco and Austin. And
California, Texas. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly where most of them were from.
Okay.
So
I will look into that. Pivoting off the city, you're almost 20 years in. What's the, and you can give me one answer.
one answer,
What's the one thing you're the proudest of?
definitely the Inc. list.
Yeah.
Yeah. For us, we applied on a lark. Like, well, it's been a, hefty growth year. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And then I kind of wrote it off. I forgot about it. I didn't really think about it. And they said, okay, well, they send you an email in June, I think, that says, congratulations, you made the list. We're not going to tell you where. Don't tell anyone about it until we announce this publicly. But I remember reading that email like 4 times going, we made the list.
How cool is that?
It was really cool. And it really did feel like a moment where like, okay, this is real. This growth isn't just us feeling the chaos and the pressure of growing. This is a real thing that we've actually done. It has been a lot of growth, enough to be recognized. And it's not just us running constantly, so that was a big moment for me.
Okay. Fair answer. But what is one thing, one answer only, you'd redo?
What would I redo? Okay. I think we've made some hiring mistakes in the past. And if I had to redo it, I would go back and revamp the way that we hire people. The mistakes that we've made have been very much hiring people based on experience and resume and not spending enough time on how they fit with our culture. So that I would redo that process on a few things because we invested time and energy trying to salvage a person in a position that was just never going to work because they weren't culturally a fit.
Yeah.
So I think that's what we'd redo.
The common person has no idea how expensive a bad hiring decision is. And when you really break it down, the hire, there's a salary, you got to pay their benefits, whatever tools they have to use. Like if you're paying for software for them, that's a cost. If anything's performance based and you have to pay out a commission plan or something like that, like there's the cost there. But for every day that the wrong person's in the seat is a day that keeps the right person out of the seat, which means you're never going to hit the productivity, numbers or metrics or whatever you have assigned to that role to be. So
and there's a time cost with your other employees to get that person set up to be functional, to train them to do the job. So we invest our other people's time in trying to get them to be successful. And if it just doesn't work, then that's really all wasted time.
Yes. And if your productive employees are less productive because of a bad hire, then that also is a cost. I don't think people truly understand how much it costs to get it wrong. So what's the one thing about Fenetex that you wish people would understand? Like what's a misconception or something you'd like to make more, or it could be, it could be about the company and the culture and the process. Like what's just something you would like the public to know about you guys?
I think for us, we really we want to get it right. We want to do it right. We're not going to get it right every time, but when we make a mistake, we own it. We want to design our products right. We want to communicate with people right. We don't want to make mistakes because that causes bad feelings. It can cost money. It can take time. We don't want any of those things to happen. So if we get it right, then everybody's happy along the spectrum of interactions and product deployment. So it's really important to us. We invest a lot of time and energy in just making sure things are going to be right.
Okay. What's the best way for people to find you?
Best way is always to start on our website, which is fenetex.com, Fenetex.com. From there you can get in touch with us via phone, email, form, whatever. We also are on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and just starting TikTok. So we'll see how that goes.
Are y'all going to do any dances?
I don't know what we're going to do yet. I feel old for TikTok, so we'll see what happens.
It'd be fun. LinkedIn's got a like a reel based, like REEL based video format system now.
Oh,
if you open up your LinkedIn app, the second tab on the bottom is the video tab. So people are creating like TikTok style content on LinkedIn. So
and as we're trying to get our message across to more, professional level people, I think we're going to be leaning into LinkedIn a little bit more to reach like architects and, hospitality owners and things like that. So we'll see what happens.
All right. You ready for a little rapid fire?
Oh,
nothing crazy.
Is this like the Colbert questionnaire?
It's not really close. This one's kind of all over the place.
All right. Get ready.
What's your favorite ballpark?
Dodger Stadium.
What's your second favorite ballpark?
It would have to be my minor league stadium in Charleston, which is Joseph P. Riley Park.
Okay. Hurricane season, does that make you excited or exhausted?
It's kind of exciting going in, but then you get exhausted. Yeah.
Okay.
Typically, that's our busiest season of the year. It's almost always slow during 4th of July because a lot of our dealers take time off, so the orders aren't coming in. And then as soon as they come back from their family trips, it's just
crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. What's a company outside of the manufacturing space you admire?
I think Patagonia is an interesting company.
Why?
I think their messaging with Gertie has always been really fun. And I like that about them, bringing her into their ads, and they're kind of irreverent at the same time as very quality conscious. So I think they're interesting in that way.
Okay. Fenetex in 3 words.
Quality, reliability, adaptability.
And building in Jacksonville, hot or not?
Building
a company.
I'd go with hot.
Hot?
Yeah.
I love it. What did we miss?
I don't know. What did we miss? I don't think we missed anything.
Okay. I would love nothing more than to leave the door open for round 2.
Sure.
If you're good with that. Obviously the Inc. 5000 report's going to come out. I think that's going to spearhead even more growth for you guys. If you're looking to get into a bigger building, you are growing in every sense of the word. You're expanding across the United States of America. There's another story to be had here. Obviously, getting to this point, incredibly impressive. I'm so happy that you accepted my request when I reached out to you. So even if we didn't cover everything today, I would love nothing more than for you to come back, let's say, in a year and see what the year 20 looks like over year 19.
Let's see if we make it a three-peat.
I have a really good feeling. I have a really good feeling. I leave on gratitude and I mean every word I'm about to say. So
can I do gratitude first too?
Yes, you can.
I want to participate in your.
I should have never told you I do this.
Well, I see it. I watch your podcast. I see you do it every episode, so I know.
Thank you.
But I want to thank you first of all for inviting me on, letting us tell our story. It's an honor to be able to talk about what we've accomplished, and it's also a little humbling to think back through the struggles, but it's mostly it's very positive to be able to think of accomplishments. And of course, as we said before, I need always to give gratitude to our dealers, our team, our employees, and all of our families who have supported us doing this massive project, building this company. So thank you.
You're
thank
welcome.
them. And your turn. And thank you for letting me butt in.
You're very welcome. And now that's greatest decision I ever made in my life was starting this podcast. It seems so juvenile. It's true. I've met so many people such as yourself that have built all kinds of companies in this town and that I didn't even know existed, including yours.
Yeah.
I didn't know what Fenetex was a month ago, for 5 weeks ago, whenever it was. And it's given me an opportunity to learn more, right? So the podcast is great, and it led me to a lot of different things. But one thing it led me to, by the time this comes out, will be very close to me publishing my first book. Right now, it's in the editing phase, and the working title is "You're One Decision Away," and then the subtitle is "And the Courage to Stick with It," from a different life, and that's true. And this podcast gave me so much. So the fact that people enjoy coming on is the greatest blessing. And I appreciate the words, but the gift is like, I'm the one that gets to open the present. It's unbelievable. So, but for me, I've been in the executive search recruitment space for a decade. I call it the people infrastructure. I believe that every company is a good hire away from growth. And I think every community is a good story away from turning the page. And it's been a blessing. It really has. But the thing that I care the most about when I see this economy and the volatility in the labor market, and I see all these tech layoffs, and I see all these people without jobs, and I see all the green open to work banners, and I've seen some posts lately about people who are facing homelessness and that they can't afford food, and how hard it is to get a job, and how AI has displaced so many people. I always just come back to the people who have built companies and put roots down and then hired local. And what are you up to now? 50, how many employees?
Oh, we just had a few more, and I actually conducted 3 interviews today for another position before I came here. So I think we're around 50.
50.
Yeah,
And almost all of them are in Jacksonville.
correct.
Yes. So 50 people get to go home, and 50 people get to pay their grocery bills. 50 people get to support their family. And the dealers you work with, you sign deals with them. So every time that they deliver something, they get to go home and take care of their families and pay their electric bill. Not everybody gets a chance to do that. And so for me, the gratitude comes from the fact that there were probably days early on where you were like, how in the hell am I going to make payroll? How in the hell am I going to get this product delivered? How in the hell are we even going to make this work? And there's days where you're like, I got to bag this crate and barrel product and like give them the receipt and let them walk out the door just so that I can get it done. Mm-hmm. My gratitude is in that. My gratitude is that you didn't quit, and that you stuck with it, and your husband stuck with it, and you guys moved to the other side of the freaking country to pull this off. And because of it, you planted roots in a city I adore, and you gave 50 people a chance to have a place to live. That is a debt that the city, myself, or anybody else can't repay. So thank you.
It's a privilege.
Yeah. And even more so, thank you for being on PB and Jax.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's wonderful to talk with you.
Yes, ma'am.